New Artist Spotlight Podcast.
Welcome everybody to the New Artist Spotlight Podcast. I am Wilko Wilkes.
Wilko Wilkes, remember the name.
And I am Big OG, you know me, Origin Cross. Welcome back to the show. This is the New Artist Spotlight Podcast, where we interview artists from the New Artist Spotlight family of playlists, which is your plug to some of the newest and freshest music from indie artists from around the world.
Yeah, and today we've got one of those artists with us, so we're delighted to welcome to the show. Oh no, I'm going to say this wrong. Is it Sano Hill?
Sano Hill.
Sano Hill. I should have just gone
I've
with
been
what it
thinking
looked
it
like.
correctly. Yes.
It is what it says.
I was going to, Sano Hill's the obvious, and I made a last minute decision to change, so that was a nightmare.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
I really like your music, man. I've been listening. The first time I heard CircleWalk, I was like, wow, this is an amazing track. Like, love the everything that you give it. But anyone who's not heard your music, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you sort of come to be an artist.
Okay. So I'm based in Galway City in the west of Ireland, but I'm originally from a rural part of Ireland called Cavan. I grew up in a quite a musical family. My mother's musician, traditional Irish music, and I played some traditional music. I don't know if you had a look at the 10 questions I did. I talk a bit about that background. I started out playing in kind of accordion marching bands, growing up in a kind of a musical context, a musical family, and I suppose inevitably that would kind of become something that I'd gravitate towards in terms of creativity and what I'd like to do longer term in my life. So I've been writing music really from when I was very young, and did some recording some time ago, kind of contributed as a to these kind of indie compilation albums, and then it kind of drifted out of recording. Music, it's kind of like a necessity, I suppose, like a lot of musicians. I do it because I have to do it, because it's a way of kind of dealing with what's going on in my life. So I've always written and sang in my own time, and sometimes performed a bit. And then I kind of moved away. I suppose life took over, and just trying to make a living and so on. And during the pandemic, I'd accumulated a lot of songs that I really wanted to get recorded properly and get out there and reconnect with an audience. So I went into the studio during and following the over the last couple of years, I've been working on trying to really kind of bring my songs to a point where I'm confident and feel they can communicate what it is I'm trying to say and what it is I'm trying to do and my vision for music. And that's kind of where CircleWalk, the current single, and the previous two, because I'm still a very new emerging artist, I suppose you could say, in terms of releasing my own music. And I've 3 singles out there that have kind of grown out of my own life experience, partly semi-autobiographical, but also about stuff I've encountered, friends have experienced, and trying to make sense of that through music.
Cool. So now we have a little bit of background on you as an artist. Let's talk about your future. What are your goals? Like, what do you hope to achieve with your music and through your music?
I guess,
like, what would be the ultimate goal for you?
The ultimate goal would be to get to a point in my life where I could continue I suppose there's a number of different related goals. The first one is that I can connect with an audience that really appreciates the music that I make, and that's where New Artist Spotlight has been critical in terms of learning from other musicians and helping me to make those connections. And related to that is being able to make a career out of music. Making just to be able to make enough to be able to sustain myself as a musician. To be able to connect with people and to make a living at some level that can allow me to continue to record and to release music. I guess those are the kind of key goals that I have in terms of the music that I do.
I like it, mate. I think a lot of us probably feel the same, just trying to make it sort of sustainable and something that is actually like you're able to just do more and more of. Like, how much do you enjoy it?
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. I love playing music. I love writing music. It's something that, as I said, I have to. I kind of have to do. It's kind of my way of comprehending the what's going on in my life, and my way of kind of understanding and dealing with whatever is going on in my life, and the music that comes out of that, the songs that come out of that. You hope that they can connect with other people, that you can find an audience that can appreciate that, and that they can, they can reconnect with you and help you to allow you to continue to create music and to release music. And that's kind of where I'm hoping I can get to eventually. Right now I'm still trying to make those connections, and still very new in terms of releasing music particularly. So I'm still trying to find that connection and find that place where I can continue to record and release.
Got you. So, as I was listening to your catalog this morning while I was out running, I'll say you are to be emerging and still be kind of getting your foot in and everything. I like where your audio kind of currently is. Like just some of the effects and the like putting a reverb or delay or something like that in the right place to kind of make a certain part stand out, or kind of add that bit of musicality to it. I like that because not a lot of artists kind of starting out have that or know how to use that effectively. And I forget exactly what song it was where we did it, and it stuck out to me because I just listened to everything straight through. But I do like that is a part of your artistry so far.
I think the song you're referring to perhaps is The Climb, which was the first single I did in January, and we did. I mean, one of the things I have to acknowledge, I've had huge support from a producer called Larry Hogan, Dublin-based producer, who's helped me to realise the vision I've had for the music and to bring his own kind of musical abilities in terms of instrumentation. He runs a kind of a musical hub in Dublin that brings musicians together and helps them to kind of realise their musical vision. So that's been a critical piece of helping me to move from having all these songs that I've been kind of working on, some for a very, very long time, and I've been rewriting and reworking, and then think about how can I kind of really realise that vision. So, and this is where things like New Artist Spotlight is critical as well in terms of connecting with other musicians. And I see this is going on already in terms of musicians collaborating, but that's a key part of how we as musicians really help to or realize our vision and bring it to something that we feel reflects what we're trying to do as musicians.
Yeah, that's right, man. I like that. So we'll talk a little bit about NAS as you mentioned, but I just want to ask as well, like what sort of things happen at that music group that you said, like the hub that it was running in Dublin, like what sort of activities, when do you meet, what sort of happens there? Because that sounds really interesting.
Well, it's something that's Larry Hogan, I said, is as I said, is the guy. He's the producer guy. He brings it together. So what he does is if you're a musician who've got ideas around, you want to develop, say, as I have been trying to develop an album project, you connect with him, bring the songs to him, and then he brings other musicians into the, like, kind of session musicians, I guess you call them, into the picture, that allows you to realize that he's familiar with. He has a huge range of musicians based in Dublin, drummers, for example, trumpet players, instrumentalists, vocalists of various types, that he helps you to connect with, to realize the kind of vision that you're trying to realize. And then we kind of gather in, some of the tracks were recorded in Windmill Lane Studios in Dublin, and we also worked in a few other studios in Ireland. And then this is literally a shed behind my house that I'm in at the moment, and this is kind of where it all begins, so to speak. I have a kind of very rudimentary studio set up here that I kind of demo the tracks, work out the kind of some of the initial arrangements, and then I kind of bounce ideas off Larry. Larry comes back and suggests, well, did you think about this, that, or the other? So that's, he helps to kind of realize the kind of ideas that I'm trying to develop here, around individual songs, and then brings in musicians who he feels can fill that out in terms of particular instruments that we feel could really lift the song and bring it to where we feel it needs to go.
It sounds like a really good like a good resource to have. Sounds like he kind of knows a lot of the bits and pieces to kind of help you get where you're trying to go. So that must be a real awesome relationship to just have. Something a lot of us are probably envious of. But as you mentioned, Wilko mentioned, let's talk about NAS for a bit, right?
Yeah.
How did you find NAS? How have you been finding the community, and just what's your impression of it overall?
Yeah. So I'm a very new member of NAS. I think am I here a month? I might be a month, maybe 6 weeks max. So I'm not that long into the group. I've found it to be really extraordinarily helpful in terms of it's clearly a group of people who are all genuinely interested in trying to develop music and support each other in making music and getting the music out there, right? So, and that's been the kind of basic feel that I've got from the connections and the interactions I've had so far. You've extraordinary range of people who are, including yourself, Wilko, Origin, Blues Trainer, Ed, obviously, JHM. I'm missing so many people here, but this is an extraordinary group of people that Ed has brought together, and initiatives like this podcast, like Tom Duggan's podcast, which I've also contributed to, the work that Liz from Bad Scullion does with the 10 questions, which I've contributed to. So all of these initiatives, the connections with Blue Torch Radio and the opportunity that gives to get the music out there, it's an extraordinary resource, and I just consider myself very fortunate to have discovered it. I couldn't recommend it more to other musicians out there who want to connect with other, genuinely like-minded musicians who want to develop. And there's such a variety of music. That's the other thing that was extraordinary. Been listening to you guys, your rap music, which I've really come to appreciate as well. Although it's not an area it's not the music that I usually listen to, but it's an extraordinary range of musicians that you encounter, and different ways of approaching music. Just listening through the NAS catalogue, I think there's like maybe 17 hours on some of those lists, right? So you're just going through it and you're hearing this range from classical through hard metal, through folk, through blues, through rap, and all from such a rich array of musicians, and all of that can only be good in terms of broadening my own understanding of music for any musician. The musical possibilities, the kind of the enriching our knowledge and understanding of what music can be, and that can feed into making our own music richer ultimately.
Love it, mate. Yeah, I'm the same. Yeah, I learn a lot from just listening through the NAS lists, and you get to pick up the different ways of which people write songs and stuff as well. And yeah, it's great, man. So speaking of songwriting, we're going to play one of yours. I've mentioned it already, CircleWalk. I think it's such a good tune, man. Really, that went straight in my library. Do you want to tell us a little bit about it before we give it a spin?
Yeah. This is a really difficult song to write, and I went through a lot of different rewrites. I suppose to give a little bit of background, it's part of, there's a larger album project that this sits within, and the album as a whole is kind of tracing the progression or the development of a relationship, and it begins like The Climb in a way is an early track, which is a kind of a song of seduction, kind of a hopeful, optimistic kind of opening. The previous single, Starting Over, is kind of after the breakup and trying to think about where we're going to go from here. This is right in the middle of perhaps one of the most challenging parts of a relationship, when there's a complete communication breakdown, when the couple, and that's the CircleWalk is when you're walking around, and two people are walking around, going in circles around what they need to say, and they can't find they can't find the words to say, or they can't find how can we begin communication again. And that's kind of what I'm trying to communicate in the song is it's not that the song, there's not, it's about trying to capture the frustration as much as anything of being in that place where you're in a relationship, you know that, you know, things need to be said, but you just, the words aren't there to say it, or you can't find the words to say it. So I've tried both in terms of the lyrics, but also in terms of the music, the musical kind of nuance within it to capture some of that kind of tension, if you like, that goes at that point in a relationship.
Cool. Well, would you like to do the honors and introduce the song?
Okay. So this is CircleWalk. I hope you enjoy the song. And thank you guys for the chance to present it here on your podcast. Stop. You're walking around in circles. I'm in the middle, trying to understand. Yeah, tell me it's nothing, but that's what I'm hearing. And nothing, it's making me mad. Can you tell me just one more time? Oh, just to see where it leads. Oh, look me in the eyes and tell me what you see. Could we be real? It's hard when you don't try to let me in. It's hard when we don't talk anymore. Oh, I don't know where to begin, 'cause I've heard all the excuses before, but can you tell me, oh, just one more time? Oh, lady, just to see where it leads. Oh, look me in the eyes and tell me what you see. Could we be real? You know you can tell me if you want to. Oh, I don't care. And you can talk if you want to. I don't care. You can scream if you want to. I don't care. Walk if you want to. Could we be real? Real? Could we be real? 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 And you can say what you want to say what you need to say what you want to say what you need to say what you want to say what you need to say what you want to say what you need to. What you need to. What you need to. Say what you want to say.
Thank you very much, Sano, for letting us play that track, man. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for playing it, man. It's great to get it out there and to be able to play it for as many people as possible. And it's fantastic that you like the track too.
Yeah, man. Great stuff. I've heard some rumours that you're a Sunderland fan, by the way. I'm not very impressed with that. Anyway.
Yes, I am. I am a Sunderland, and that's been. We've had a challenging few years, to be honest.
yeah. Well, you're back now, mate.
Your colours are very clearly up in the corner of the room there. I see. So you're our near neighbours, so to speak. But yeah, no, I have been a Sunderland fan for some time. I kind of got into. I suppose that you probably know there was a big Irish connection with Sunderland in the 90s when I started following them between Niall Quinn, and they was owned by an Irish group at the time for a while. And I used to travel over to the games. There used to be direct flights from here in Galway for a while.
Right. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so we used to head over. And so I kind of got into the team, and then they've been through the war. At least they're back in the championship now. But
yeah, man, good result yesterday as well.
Torture's couple of years, sorry?
Good result yesterday as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's
anyway, enough about that. We could talk. If we talk football for too long, I'll end up getting sucked in, and the rest of the podcast will all be about football.
By the way, I love your track, getting sacked and championship manager. Man, that's a track. You got some great lines in there. It was because it's something I could absolutely connect to.
yeah.
I remember and I've done and played in the past, and there was a player you mentioned. Was that Chambo Che or something? There was
Cherno Samba.
Yeah, he played for Millwall.
Yeah, he was a legend.
I was thinking, there was a guy. I said, Jesus, he got a great name, but I don't remember him playing any great games. Do you?
No, not really. He was brilliant. He was good for 50 a season in Championship Manager, but yeah, not in real life. So I was going to ask you about your musical influences, because I'll tell you a couple of bands that came to mind when I was listening to it. One was Aztec Camera, and another was Talking Heads. Do you like any of those two, and who are your influences?
I do like those two, yeah. I do like both those groups. I mean, I'm a kind of a magpie. I like so much different music. You know, that's why I've loved listening to the NAS playlist, because it's such a variety, and I suppose the musician who really kind of clicked with me first when I was younger, and who really kind of informed my initial attempts at songwriting, was Van Morrison. I'm thinking early Van, not Van gone mad during COVID. It's gone back to Astral Weeks, if you're familiar with that extraordinary album from the late 60s. That album really kind of connected with me, and that kind of period of his career, and listening to that music. And then, I mean, there was so many other influences in down the years. U2, I was quite a fan of at one point. Also,
I just love when you guys mention bands and things that I actually know. That's
yeah. Radiohead. Also, I was a big fan of. I mean, there's so much other. Nick Cave, Jeff Buckley. Yeah, I mean, there's so many different kind of art. Elvis Costello, I went through a period of absolutely listening to, going through all of his catalogue. I mean, there's just so much great music out there that I have fed into, I guess, what I do, and in a way I'm still kind of trying to work through those influences to, as we're all as musicians, to try and get to a point where you feel, yeah, that's and you'll probably get a sense of that listening to the 3 songs that I've released already: The Climb, Starting Over, CircleWalk. That there's different sounds there as well, different influences that are coming through. So I'm working through those kind of influences and in a way, this is a debut album, right? So I guess that's what we do in a debut album. We're working through our influences, working towards finding our own distinctive voice by kind of moving beyond the kind of sounds that have formed us as musicians. And that's kind of where I'm at the moment, and where I'm working towards.
So, remembering what I wanted to ask you earlier on, when you go through your Spotify profile, you have like quotes about your music, and from like 3 different, I think it was like 3 different sources, right? Yeah. How'd you go about getting those write-ups, and if you could talk a little bit about that?
Okay, yeah, no problem. So, now we're going back a bit. So the 3 quotes there, are, well, when I was gigging back some years ago, I some of it was kind of like, one of the quotes is from a local newspaper in Galway, right? So I did some gigs and I got some coverage in the local press. So there's one local. I also I spent some time in the US in Milwaukee playing gigs. I was playing in a few bars there, and then I got invited to contribute to a festival, and a local journalist came to one of my gigs, and she wrote up a short piece, and that is the second quote. And then the third one, the first release, I mentioned earlier, my music initially appeared on these indie compilations that came out of Galway by a local studio called Origin Records, and they got some coverage. Yes. They got some coverage in Hot Press, which is a pretty important Irish music magazine, and they picked up on my song in particular, and that kind of, again, that helped a lot in terms of getting positive feedback and getting material that I could use to get the music out there, get gigs, get other recording opportunities, and so on. Since then, I've been using Muso Soup, which you may know, you guys, those guys. So I've been using Muso Soup, and they've helped me to get my music to publications. This is for the most recent tracks. So for CircleWalk, Starting Over, The Climb, they send it out, and then some publications come back, yeah, we like your music, we'll do a write-up. So I've got some write-ups from that, which are up on my website. So all of that, it gives you material. For me, it's getting material that I can send out my socials, and can hopefully encourage people to listen to the music and connect with what I'm doing. And yeah, I guess it's all part of trying to find an audience, connect with an audience. I see we're getting the 9 minutes left signal there on the screen.
We are, mate, and that means it's time for you to face the infamous NAS Quickfire 5. But
yes.
One question first, a preliminary question. Do you think you can hack it? Do you think you can handle the heat?
God, man, I don't know. Is this the heat around the questions or the heat around the music industry?
Well,
doesn't matter. You can't handle one, you can't handle the other.
You'll find out. You've only got 15 seconds to answer each question. So putting you on the spot.
I can hack it, man. Go on. Go for it. Question
1. What is your favourite song from the New Artist Spotlight playlists?
Okay, this is a really difficult question, because I've really enjoyed picking my Thursday favourite. And I've picked a few different tracks there. Matt Sternard, all together. This week, sorry, just blanked. Delaney's Sad Songs, Extraordinary Songs. But the one I'm listening to right now that I love is Her Borden's current single, Better Than Me, which is extraordinary. Absolutely love that. Listening to it on repeat.
First question.
You abused that. Yeah. 15 seconds, remember.
Sorry.
You're gonna get kicked off and banned if you do that again.
I know.
Yeah, that's the way we roll here.
Go on. You could have the singing voice.
It won't take me long. That was the hardest question, to be honest, of all of the questions, given the amount of music NAS is throwing at me, right? So I blame the playlist.
If you could have the singing voice of any other artist on the planet, whose voice would you have?
Jeff Buckley. I know he's dead.
Good. What is your favourite song of all time?
Madam George.
If you could spend a day with one other NAS artist, who would you pick?
Ed Eagle. And I tell you why, because I think what that man has done is extraordinary with NAS, and I just like to, talk to him about it, learn from him, because this is an extraordinary resource for musicians. And if I could spend a day with one person and learn from one person, be Ed Eagle.
Yeah, man, he's done very well. And which NAS member would you like us to get on this podcast?
Ooh. God, there's so many, isn't there? If it's pick one. Why don't we say Herb Orden? I picked them for the favourite songs, so bring on Herb Orden. I want to hear more about their music. They're only new. They're a Leicester band, I believe, a Leicester-based band. But listen to Better Than Me. That track is it's extraordinary. So it's destined to be a rock classic.
I'm gonna line it up. Well done, mate. You just about scraped. Well, you survived.
Did he?
Barely.
What's the 60% right there? That's.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's not very
technically
good.
it's passing, but I don't know if it's good. I wouldn't bring it home to my mom, but you know.
Yeah.
It's been a good conversation though. It's been good having you on.
Yeah, it's been great, guys. Great meeting you both.
Could you let everybody know where they can find you on socials and where they can find your music so they can connect?
Yeah. It's on Twitter. My handle is @Sano Hill. On Instagram, it's @Sano Hill Songs. On Facebook, it's @Sano Hill Songs. On YouTube, just type in Sano Hill YouTube. I have a SoundCloud presence as well, where I kind of put up some demos. So I'd say if you just put Sano Hill into SoundCloud, it should find me. And then I have the singles obviously out on Spotify. Yeah, that's it. That's me.
See, if you'd have answered the 5 questions just like that, you would have did great.
Yeah, sorry guys. Sorry. They were hard questions. And actually you changed, you sent me, I saw other questions on that list that I prepared for it, and then you kind of threw me a curveball.
That is only a sample sample list.
Possible questions that you never.
Well, Origin threw me as well, because he asked what's usually question 5 and he asked it as question 4, so I was completely bamboozled as well by his dirty
Yeah,
trick.
we all got to stay fresh. We all got to stay on our toes.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
People don't want to see us do the same thing every week.
That's right, man. That's why it's so infamous.
Yeah, this is great. I've been enjoying it. I watched your previous podcast because I'm on the podcast, the channel, the video channel. So I've watched through. It's great. We've got some great podcasts there already done with other artists. So it's a fantastic resource to have, and learning from other musicians as well. So good on you guys. You're doing a really great job.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thank you, man. Well, yeah, thanks for coming in, man. It's been great to meet you.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity, and good luck with the work. Good luck with the music. Keep making great music, guys. I love listening to your music as well, and discovering new music. So I'm looking forward to hearing. Have you guys got new tracks coming out or singles coming out? I know, Wilko, you got something out with Charlie Smith, right, just now, or
with Charles Connolly.
Charles Connolly. Sorry,
yeah. You should listen if you've not already, man. It's a good track.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah, I've got some new music on the way as well.
Brilliant.
And thanks everybody listening at home as well. It's been a pleasure, and thank you to all our partners and everybody supporting NAS. We'll see you all next time.
All right.
Peace.
New artist spot.